Well, you finally found me. Correction, I found you. Quake 2, one of the most controversial game there is. Okay, we don't talk about that game. Okay, I mean most controversial Quake game. Are we really going there? Well, screw it, I'm just going to talk about Quake 2. So yeah, Quake 2 was controversial because it was completely a different setting than Quake 1. They really went sci-fi with the game, and in my opinion, I love it. I love Quake 2 more than Quake 1 or 3. Never played 4 though. But we are not here to talk about Quake 2. Well, actually a little. No, we are actually talking about the double-barreled guns in Quake 2. And trust me, this will be a long one. We will talk about the super shotgun, the ETF rifle, and finally we'll talk about the Phalanx. We are checking and reviewing the stats, feeling and usability, the design, sounds, and finally how well they are doing in multiplayer. But before we start about the review, let's talk about the game first. So Quake 2 was released in 1997 and was a big step up from the previous game. The new engine called Quake 2 engine, really, they called it that? Yeah. Well, the Quake 2 engine made games really easily to run. But for modern day you just see the Quake 2 engine as an upgrade from Quake 1 in visuals and gibbing. Oh god, the gibbing. You will see a lot of this in this video. I hope YouTube doesn't age restrict this video. If that's going to happen, I will make videos about the fire flower in Super Mario. But back to the game, and let's talk about the story. So Quake 2 has a great intro cutscene, but instead of showing that, I will just talk about it. So in the future, Earth is getting invaded by the Stork. What is the Stork? Well, part human or biological, part mechanical, fully fucked up. But Earth barely survived the invasion and immediately do a counterattack on the Stork home, and calling it Operation Alien Overlord. You are playing as Marine called Bitterman. Bitterman is one of the only survivors that survived the landing on the Stork main planet, and your mission is simple, but changes throughout the game. Like your first mission is making a communications uplink. But your first mission and actually throughout the game you're just slaughtering the Stork with everything in your arsenal. And one of the weapons in the arsenal is the super shotgun, or how I call it, the red mist. So let's look at the stats of the super shotgun. The super shotgun can first be found in a secret level in chapter 1. Also I call these chapters instead of units, because it sounds more logical. So the secret level can easily be found. Hell, the game is actually giving you some hints with a rebreathe so that you can use it to breathe underwater. But how do you get to this secret level? Yeah, it's that easy to find the secret level in chapter 1. And the fun thing, the chapter 1 secret level is all about getting the super shotgun. Even the game says it. Also, if you don't find the super shotgun in the secret level, there is also a secret at the end of the chapter that you can find the super shotgun in. Even though I don't consider it a secret because it's easy to find by accident. And if you miss that super shotgun, at the beginning of chapter 2 you can find them right at the start. You can literally speedrun it. It's that easy in chapter 2 and trust me, you need it. Looking back at the stats, the super shotgun shoots 2 barrels at the same time with 20 pellets that does 6 damage each. So one shot does a total of 120 damage, and compared to Quake 1 it does double the damage from the shotgun in that game. Also, the damage of the super shotgun gives a lot of enemies. And that's the main reason why I call it the red mist gun. The fire rate is also decent. It has the same fire rate as the normal shotgun, which is surprising. The range and spread is mediocre. The super shotgun is extremely good at point blank to close range. And it's meh on medium range, but the further than medium range it's just bad. Also, the shotgun has a randomized horizontal spread. As you can see on the footage, it has a horizontal spread that changes while the vertical spread stays the same. The super shotgun also has a stagger on first hit, but compared to Quake 1, this stagger is actually useful. Because of the stagger animations the enemy has, the damage you can do is an easy 1-2 shot kill. First shot to stagger and the second shot to kill, and the enemy never had a chance. Lastly, let's talk about the max ammo and the ammo pickup. So the super shotgun starts with 100 shells max ammo, but with the bandolier it's 150 shells, and with an ammo pack it's 200. To be honest, above 100 shells is overkill, because when I was making this video I never hit the max ammo, but that also has to do with the ammo pickup. There is only one ammo pickup for shells, and that gives you only 10 shells, and that's equal to 5 shots. So those are the stats for the weapon. But the game also has power-ups that will make the super shotgun also powerful, and this time you can hold the power-ups in your own inventory, so you can use it whenever you want. So here is the list of the power-ups. You have of course the but next to that you have the silencer, which is well, it's something. So the silencer lowers the sounds of the weapon, which has its uses because the stroke does react to sound, but in normal gameplay you never see much benefit on it. If you hit a stroke it will instantly get alerted, and half the time the stroke sees you. The only positive about the silencer is it's not a timed power. It has 30 shots before being used. But the other power-ups, or actually I need to say power-ups in the expansions, are much better. You have the Reckoning expansion dual fire damage, and in the Ground Zeroes you have the double damage. So the dual fire damage sounds like a damage increase, but it actually doubles the fire rate, and with the shotgun it makes it semi-automatic, and it's really fun to use. And the double damage is just a diet. Also, I need to say this to the Quake wiki. Why do you say double fire damage is useless? It makes the shotgun semi-automatic, and I had so much fun with it. But yeah, let's go back to the stats. So yeah, that was the stats as a collective, and I would just say the super shotgun is a beast, and I would give it a 9 out of 10 in stats. It just gives the super in super shotgun. The feeling of the super shotgun is super. It feels like the super shotgun of Doom 2, but faster and more responsive. Every shot gives you a good punch, and seeing the rechambering just gives you a feeling of absolute power. And with a decent fire rate it doesn't feel like you're waiting for your next shot. This weapon really makes you feel like a king. And I'm not even talking with the power-ups. Like quad damage melts the target, and dual fire damage just feels like your Sonic with a gun. And best thing of all, you will use this weapon most of the time. The damage and fire rate is good. And in Quake 2 a lot of enemies are easy to understand. Like some enemies has a wind up before attack, or tells which attack they are doing. This way you always think of a plan how to attack them. And the super shotgun excels in this regard. Like as an example. The only downside with the super shotgun is you can't handle groups of enemies. The super shotgun is perfectly designed for a single target or 2 to 3 small enemies. But the moment you have multiple big enemies you will be easily swarmed. But this downside can be countered by using power-ups. Like all power-ups, except use silencer, can make the super shotgun a crowd control machine. And with that I would give the super shotgun a 9 out of 10 in feeling and usability. I love this design. It looks so futuristic but also modern day. But the super shotgun doesn't have a real life component. At least not in the traditional dual barrel shotgun. This weapon is a pump action shotgun that has a magazine tube that we cannot see, which I never saw on a shotgun. The only really downsides on it is that the forehand is way too big for a shotgun and there is no iron sights for proper aiming. Funny enough, the first person model you can see there is no iron sights but the forehand looks decent. But speaking of the first person model, let's look at the animations of it. And this shotgun really delivers on its animations. Every time you shoot, you can see the knockback of the super shotgun. Like the weapon's almost flying away. And then the recoil doing the pump animation. That's just a really icing on the cake of this super shotgun. Also, one extra note on it. A couple of people say that this weapon is inspired by a real life Neon Stat 2000 shotgun. But that was made after the release of Quake 2. So yeah, the design is pretty good and I would give it a 7 out of 10. As the design, I really love this sound. Firing sounds really sounds heavy, like you're shooting a cannon, and the retrieving the shells, that sounds, you know you have a beast in your hand. And the magical moment you have to... It just sounds magical. Like it's echoing its destruction with every shot. A definitely 9 out of 10 in sounds. Just like in the single player, the super shotgun is extremely good in multiplayer. The widespread helps with the quick movement of the enemies and it's almost an insta kill. Or an insta kill if you're on point blank range. So how much are you going to use it in the multiplayer? Well... This is a beast to use. With the super shotgun being done, let's talk about the Phalanx cannon, and oh boy do I have a lot to talk about. Just as the super shotgun, I have a graph for it. So the Phalanx cannon you get in chapter 3 after fighting one of the super tanks. Remember, they were bosses at the base game. Yeah, now it's a regular enemy. But back to the Phalanx cannon. The Phalanx cannon uses one mag slug that shoots 2 flaming projectiles in quick succession, just like a burst. These slugs do 75 damage each and has an area of effect explosion that does between 0 and 20. So if you get a hit an enemy with both shots, it would do 150 damage directly and if you're lucky, plus 40 damage AoE. Unfortunately, because it's a projectile, a lot of enemies will try to dodge the projectiles, and because of the dodging, most of the time only one of the 2 shots will hit, and that means you only do 50% of the damage, which is not a lot compared to other projectile weapons. But one of the positive uniqueness on this weapon is the ability to break shield. So if you don't have any energy ammo or use the energy ammo for a shield, you can use the Phalanx gun to easily destroy shielded enemies. And lastly, the max ammo and the ammo pickup. So the default max ammo is 50 max slugs. It can be increased except the bandolier upgrade that gives you 75 max ammo, and it also can be upgraded with the ammo pack that gives you 100. But the main difference between the rocket launcher and the Phalanx gun with the ammo pickup is that the Phalanx gun gives you 10 ammo per pickup and the rocket launcher gives you 5 rockets per pickup. And about the stats, I would give it a 4 out of 10. So editing Troy here, I realized I didn't talk about the fire rate of this weapon, which is, to be honest, the same as the super shotgun. It's still a small thing, but yeah, still hold it as a 4 out of 10 in stats. I will be straight to the point. I'm extremely mixed on the gun's feeling. On one part, it feels like a decent, and in other times, it just feels like crap. Like, it feels like it should be powerful, but every damn enemy dodge makes this gun so much worse. And even if you hit both shots, it doesn't feel like it's powerful. It's really disappointing. And the usability? Well, you will use it rarely. You find the Phalanx gun on the second half of the game. Other weapons you get like the rocket launcher or railgun are doing its job better and can be found earlier than the Phalanx cannon. You will use the Phalanx cannon against shielded enemies, but that's kinda it. Also the ammo pickup, which is rare, won't help the usability either. The Phalanx is really a situational weapon, and it's only if there's no other option. I will give the Phalanx a 3.5 for feeling and usability. So the Phalanx model looks really well. It looks like you have a strong weapon in your hands. The first person model looks really like you have a cannon, and the animation is on, well looking like the same as the super shotgun. I checked, the only difference is the weapon's rechambering. Still holds its place. The projectiles, while being fireballs, really fits the weapon. And the third person model is really something unique. It looks alien futuristic, but also semi-goofy. Now the first time you see the weapon pick up, you are wondering, what kind of weapon is this? And the only thing is certain, it has 2 barrels. I will give it a 7 out of 10 in design. It just looks good. The sound is really decent. It sounds like part electric and part explosive. And you also still hear the rechambering with every shot you make, which is a nice added bonus. The sound really gives you an idea of you using a stock rocket launcher. I would give it a 7 out of 10 in sounds. Why is this weapon not an insta-kill? 2 shots direct hit on an enemy and this guy still survives. Okay, the Phalanx is just using a rocket launcher, but you have 2 shots in quick succession. You miss one of them and there goes 50% of the damage. And one thing I haven't said before, the weapon has self-damage because of the AoE. Well, this is a small annoyance in single player. In multiplayer, you will get yourself killed with it. And don't let me start this weapon with quad damage in multiplayer. You kill people easier, yes, but you also get yourself killed easy. Before I go to the ETF rifle, I'm just going to say I'm disappointed in the expansion double barrel guns. Like the Phalanx has a great concept, but it just doesn't hit the spot. And with the ATF rifle, well, I don't want to go ahead of the facts, but it doesn't look better either. So the stats. So the ETF rifle, or the full name, the explosive flechette rifle. I didn't even know it was explosive, interesting. The ETF rifle can be found in Chapter 1 Level 3 of the Ground Zero expansion. It's part of the main path, so you cannot miss it. The ETF rifle uses flechettes. That does 10 damage each. It does 2 damage more than assault rifle, but the weapon is a projectile weapon. This is a major downside because enemies will try to dodge your attack, just like the Phalanx or the rocket launcher, which in the Phalanx or the rocket launcher case does more decent damage per hit. The ETF rifle does not. You will use a lot of ammo on enemies just to hit them. The fire rate is 10 shots per second, which is a good fire rate. Max ammo is also decent. The default max ammo is 200%. With the bandolier it's 250 and with the ammo pack it's 300. The ammo pickup is 50, which is decent. I will give it a 5 out of 10 in stats. Making this weapon a projectile weapon is really a downgrade and makes it really bad. The feeling I have for this weapon is just disappointment. It feels like this weapon is a clone of the nail gun from Quake 1, and in my previous video I said it was the most iconic weapon in Quake 1. Genuinely, I think if it was not a projectile weapon, it might be a small upgrade of the machine gun and might felt better, but in general, it feels like a cheap knockoff of the nail gun. And the usability. Well, I just need to say this straight. You will probably use it as one of the last weapons. While testing it, I felt like it was a downside against enemies and I died multiple times while testing it. Quake 2 is more made for hit scans or high damage projectiles. The enemies really shows by dodging the ETF projectiles that it will drain the ETF rifle, making the gun useless. I would give it a 4 out of 10. The weapon is just not good and it feels like that. While the stats and usabilities are kinda bad, the design looks decent. It looks like a heavy hitting assault rifle that shoots something heavy. The barrel screams heavy assault rifle. And to be honest, it shoots bigger than a bullet. The only one downside I would give is the animations. Like, it's fell still, and after doing some research, I noticed when shooting, the timing on the weapon is not correct, and the moving part of the weapons is really on the back of the weapon, which you don't expect, and you don't look at it during gameplay. I would give it a 5 over 10 in design. The sounds really similar of the Quake 1 nail gun. Like the design, it sounds like you're shooting something heavy hitting, and the sounds is perfect for the ETF rifle. I would give it a 6 out of 10 in sounds. Why is this weapon worse than the assault rifle? So the projectiles are really slow for this kind of weapon, and really need to predict someone's movement to hit him. And worst part is, unlike the Phalanx or shotgun, it doesn't do a lot of damage, so there's a high chance that the person that you shoot at will shoot back and decimate you. If you find this weapon, don't use it. And on the multiplayer levels, there is only double damage, which means it doubles the damage from 10 to 20, which is 5 shots to kill still. And if I believe the wiki, there is armor penetration on this weapon, so it doesn't matter what armor you have, it's still a 5 shot skill. But for this weapon, 5 shots is way too much and way too slow. And we're finally at the end of the review. It was a long one, but yeah, now we fully rate the weapons. So the super shotgun, I will give it an 8.5 out of 10. This weapon is legendary, and in my honest opinion, better than the Doom 2 super shotgun. The game feels like it was designed around the super shotgun. But now about the expansion weapons. So the Phalanx, I will give it a 6 out of 10. I genuinely think that the gun has its unique place in this game. Unfortunately, it's only limited. Still though, I fully loved the goofy design of the weapon. But now we are going to talk about the ETF rifle. I will give the ETF rifle a 4 out of 10. The weapon on paper sounds fantastic. A Quake 1 nail gun, who wouldn't want that? But unfortunately the game is not designed as Quake 1. And because of that, the nail gun doesn't have the place here, and most of the time it's useless and even bad to use. So that was a long review. I want to thank all of you guys for listening, and I still have one small note to talk about. So this review was long, and I will say the editing of this video was cursed, like extremely cursed. The recording was failing, the files got corrupted, my Vegas Pro 14 just gave up on me multiple times. Hell, I used 2 computers for this, and one of my computers was just 100% processor usage at the beginning. I don't know why, but yeah, it was a cursed moment. So next time we will talk about the Blood double-barrel shotgun and why it kicks ass in an extremely difficult game. See you guys then.